Assalamualaikum and a very good day. My name is Muhammad Amar Anuha bin Sabri, and along with my friends from Group 5, we will be presenting our project proposal for biomedical engineering practice. For BEP, our group have visited University Malaya Medical Center, Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, and from there, we have came up with this project proposal to improve the quality of life for MND patients. First of all, let's get to know what is MND. Motor neuron disease, MND, is a rare condition that progressively degenerate voluntary motor neuron. This causes the weakening and the patient losing control of the muscle. Fortunately, MND does not affect the cognitive ability of the patient. However, it restricted their ability to carry out daily activities such as eating, walking, and staying upright. This causes distress to the patient. One of the ways to improve the quality of life is the use of neck support collar. However, from our visit, we have found out that the neck support collar that is available in Malaysia is expensive and lacks comfort. That is why we have proposed these 5 experiments to study the variables that is involved in designing a better neck support collar. Without further ado, let's continue with a brief explanation of these experiments.
Hello doctor, my name is Farha Alinam Zamari, matrix number 17085099, and I will be explaining about experiment 1, which titled as neck motion analysis. Our neck is a group of structure that link the head to the body and a complicated structure that consists of different types of connective tissues such as the bones. Because the bulk of sensory inputs is received at the head, appropriate neck mobility is critical to human survival. In this experiment, our aim is to allow neck movement analysis to be a decision support tool when designing our proposed cervical collar. It helps to identify which movement to be assisted, restricted, and allowed in our device. 2 different subjects with different neck line are chosen in this experiment, and subjects are asked to perform different neck movements, and their range of movements are analyzed by the Vicon system to help us identify which movement to be assisted, restricted, and allowed in our neck support collar device. The expected methodology of this experiment is, firstly, we need to appoint 2 healthy subjects with no history of neck disease, and next, we need to set up the Vicon system and calibrate them. After that, calibrate subject by measuring the length of specific body parts required by the system and attach system markers and use full body motion function in the system. Subject is then required to do neck rotation, neck flexion, neck extension, and neck lateral flexion, and the motion will be captured by the system. After that, we need to analyze the motion using Vicon system and generate a graph to compare the data. All steps are repeated with different subjects of different neck line. Calculate the average and standard deviation of data and compare with theoretical values to study the exact allowable range of motion of the neck. Lastly, the expected outcome of this experiment is a data compromising range of motion of neck movements for the 2 subjects will be obtained and compared. The average and standard deviation of the data will be calculated to study and compare the allowable range of motion of the neck with the theoretical values in the journal online.
Hi, I am Reginald Tasib binti Raja Aisyah, who will now be presenting about our group's second experiment, which is the study of different padding material for neck support collar. So as a brief intro, we need to know that physical property testing is important to make sure it matches the specific application requirements. In this case, we are trying to determine the most suitable padding material which has high strength, high breathability, high flexibility, and etc. In this experiment, we are going to test out the material's tensile strength, as it is an important property of materials to determine their mechanical performance. If you're wondering what this tensile strength means, it means that the ability of a material to resist tearing due to tension. Materials that are to be tested out in this experiment are ethyl vinyl acetate foam, polyurethane foam, and polyethylene foam. Next, according to our supervisor's advices, we are using advanced force gauge as the device equipment to test out the material's tensile strength. So first, we need to set up the AFG device with the correct setting and accessory. What I mean by accessory here is that, as you can see on the screen, it is the hook-like structure which is attached to the bottom of the AFG device. Then we will hang the EVA foam onto the hook and pull it downwards manually until it ruptures. Then we will record the maximum force applied display on the device, and with that, we will repeat the step 2 and step 3 times to obtain the average force reading. With that, we will calculate the material stress value based on the average force reading and the cross-sectional value of the materials. After we finish with the first 4 materials, we will then repeat step 2 to 5 with PU foam and PE foam, and last but not least, we will analyze and compare the 3 materials according to its tensile strength. What we are expecting from the experiment is that the material that has the highest stress value may be chosen as the padding material for the next column. So as to why I'm saying that it may be chosen is because, like what I said in the brief intro earlier, there are so many aspects that we need to take into account, which are flexibility, comfortability, breathability, its strength, and etc. So in this experiment, if it comes out to be, if the material that appear to be has the highest stress value, which the highest tensile strength, doesn't mean it is necessarily the best padding material that are going to be chosen as the padding of the next collar. It may be the strongest, but it may be the weakest in breathability, and then the list goes on. So that's why I say the material that has the highest stress value may be chosen as the padding material for the next collar. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Umar Iskandar bin Yusri, and I am one of the group members for the group 5, which will be explaining to you guys about the experiment 3. And the experiment 3 is basically about the study of a structured materials that will be used in our neck collar device. So, consequently, we're giving a task from Dr. Chan for our IDP and capsule title, which is the motor neuron disease problems, or you can say as MND patients. Okay, let me just rephrase to you that motor neuron disease patients are mostly related with the limitations of their neck, which means that they having a hard time moving their head around, which involving in certain factors and the range of motions, involving the flexions, extension, lateral flexion, and also the rotation of the head, which is the sideways. Okay, so our main study of this experiment is to investigate that a certain type of materials might be suitable in designing the frame of the neck collar devices, which means that we as biomedical engineers need to have a proper research about a very large or various materials that include in some ways of the mechanical properties in respect with the hardness, tensile strength, compression, and also the shear, and also the flexibility. Okay, so hence the frame which is the main structure of the device, the neck collar device, need to have these 2 important things, or I can say that 2 important mechanical properties, which is the sturdiness and also the hardness. Okay, so how are we going to do that? I'm going to talk to you guys about it later. So that's all. Stop. So next, for the methodology part, we will be using Rockwell hardness test that were provided by Unis Himalaya in the mechanical lab under the supervision of the technicians of Encik Zaman. So the experiment is very simple, where we will cut these 3 materials, which is the ABS, the silicone rubber, and also the plexiglass, into a smaller piece of specimen in the 15 centimeter in height and also 5 millimeter in width. So basically, we will place these specimens onto the plate of the Rockwell hardness test machines, and we will push the Rockwell hardness test machine until it touches the surface and until it breaks. Okay, so from the experiment that we've done, there will be a display which will show us that there is a maximum load applied towards the material until it breaks. Okay, so this result will be recorded, and out of these three materials, we will compare them, which one has the highest resistance to load before it breaks, and also the lowest indentation. Okay, the best possible outcomes is either these three. We will compare it in our experiment. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you very much.
Good day, my name is Tang Chi Hui. So I'm going to continue with the brief introductions about experiment 4, which is the measure of pressure around the neck collar support area. So MND, which is called as a motor neuron disease. So one of the effects from this disease is patients will experience weakness in muscles around their human body edge, especially around the neck. So neck collar is necessary for the MND patients to ensure the upright position of the patient's neck. So in designing this neck collar, the padding material is necessary and should be included in the neck collar model. So the padding material provides comfortability to patients so that they will not feel pain at the supported area, or can say like they don't feel uncomfortable when wearing it. So we are going to conduct an experiment to investigate the different materials of padding and the measure exercises on the padding materials. For the methodologies, 3 different types of padding materials mentioned used in these experiments. So the force sensing resistor FSR is used to measure the force exerted towards the padding materials. So FSR is placed around the neck supporting areas. So and then the subject will be asked to do simple neck motions where the FSR placed between the padding, and the subject will record and read the force exerted. So the reading will take like 3 to 5 times for each padding per subject, and the average value is calculated. So the expected outcome will be the optimal pressures that a material can withstand will be chosen as following the capability of the subjects. That's all for my lab 4 introduction briefing. So I'll pass to the next person.
For experiment 5, we'll be studying the breathability of different padding materials for the neck support collar. This is because the support area of the neck support collar will be in close contact to the skin. So, the breathability of the padding materials, in other words, the ability to allow perspiration to pass through the material, is important to improve comfort. For this study, we'll be simulating the perspiration through the skin by using hot water in a controlled room. This will provide us with water vapor with constant pressure. Then we'll be observing the condensation of the water vapor through the different padding materials and carry out a qualitative comparison between the padding materials. The result of this experiment will determine the material with the best breathability, which will help us find the suitable padding materials for our neck support collar. That concludes our project proposal on behalf of Group 5. Thank you.